All right. Well, I think we can get started. My name's Kristen Kolupski. I'm the CMO at NuoData, and we're thrilled to have you all here today for today's session on one of the most important topics in enterprise AI right now, how to take Gen AI beyond the pilot phase and make it truly enterprise ready. Enterprises everywhere are experimenting with Gen AI, but the big question is, how do you go from isolated pilots to scaled production grade systems that really deliver business value? And that's exactly what we'll unpack today. We've got, like I said, a packed agenda. We're going to be looking at, if we want to go to the next slide, we're going to be looking at the current Gen AI landscape and the hype wave across industries, the real enterprise challenges and readiness gaps holding companies back, how NuoData can help organizations accelerate from pilot to production, and a 5-step blueprint for implementing agentic AI at scale. And so before we dive in, just a couple quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We're going to leave plenty of time at the end for questions. And then we're also going to be running a couple quick polls throughout to make this a very engaging session. So with that, let's get started. I'd love to just quickly introduce our speakers. So today we have joining us, we have Ashish Bagal. He is the founder and chief product officer at NuoData. We have Anand Venugopal, VP of go-to-market product strategy at NuoData, and Vipul Gupta, who's our technical lead at NuoData. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Anand, who also goes by AV, to get us started. AV, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much for that amazingly vibrant, wakening up introduction, Kristen.
I've never
Um,
been told I have a quiet voice.
so it's an absolute delight to be here with Kristen and the team, and particularly with my co-speakers Ashish and Vipul. Obviously, a very, very hot topic. I'm so happy to welcome all of you who are joining live from all parts of the world and time zones, as well as people who are listening to this as and seeing this as a recording. So we'll quickly touch upon all of these topics that we introduced earlier. This is the agenda. And without further ado, let's jump right into it, right? And we're gonna be making the connection between the main topic and the approach that we're taking with obviously our eye on providing as much guidance as possible to help with fixing the gap between uh, that lets you not go to production, right? Okay, so what is NuoData all about? NuoData is a very comprehensive integrated platform that does data modernization and data management, and now generative AI and agentic AI. Starting from the foundation of catalog and lineage, and we have all of these sub product names which are in red here and what they do in white, right? Under the umbrella of NuoData. Data engineering, orchestration, governance and security, and the two latest components of Nova and Nora, which are GenAI and AI agents. And you got to have observability and modernization. Gives you a sense of the overall broad topics we will cover today, and which are potentially the gaps of implementation. Now you also see partner logos. We are very integrated with the ecosystem of an enterprise. We recognize that enterprises have multi-cloud, multi-vendor environments today, and this is really a data fabric that lets you be super productive with your data and AI projects, no matter what infrastructure you're using. Right? We'll get into all of that in the slides later and show you the architecture of how we do that. But we're proud to be associated with all these top ecosystem players in terms of the hyperscalers, as well as data platform leaders like Snowflake and Databricks, and as well as Oracle and IBM as well on the clouds. Now we work with a variety of customers in different verticals through our SI ecosystem, and these are all the customer projects that we are involved in terms of the logos. So let's quickly go and look at what's happening in the extremely fast moving Gen AI and AI landscape today, and what is the opportunity for all of us, right? The size of that opportunity. Very quickly to align on terms, when we say Gen AI, I think pretty much all of us in this call are probably already on the same page, just in case we're not. Gen AI is obviously the AI functionality that can create new content based on tons of training with the foundation models, but can also generate new patterns from learned lessons from RAG and other sources, right? RAG itself is the second term here when we say uh, when we enhance the capability of a foundation model with additional data sets, and you want that data set to be a reference as a dictionary to be referred to in your Q&A, something like an HR department using a policy document as a RAG source and having the LLM look at policy and then answer questions based on that. That would be a RAG, right? Agentic AI is the complete autonomous LLM powered workflow that can take a complex task, reason how to break it down. What does it mean? How do I break it down into subtasks? And use tools and APIs and break that down and execute all of those subtasks autonomously and literally just complete the job for you. Now, and I'll get into that as well in a little bit more detail. So, what's happening in the market today, right? With the latest funding news from Databricks yesterday about 100 billion valuation, to recent weeks of OpenAI hitting 300 billion valuation, to Anthropic climbing 3x and raising money at 170 billion, and 3x from just a few months ago. It shows what kind of literally rage this has become in the investment industry. And obviously, investors are looking at this for the return, for the growth expected. And confidential sources tell me that some of these foundation models have had like 20 growth in just the last few months. And that's the kind of extrapolation. That's what is driving this explosion. If you look at venture funding, 50% of all venture funding globally has been, essentially put into in AI startups. And there's now what, 498 AI unicorns with a billion and above market cap, with a combined valuation of $2.7 trillion. So it's clearly a very, very, very big opportunity for all of us to jump in and make best use of. But there could be irrationality, and we'll get into that a bit as well. So, one example of that irrationality is this seemingly crazy, unreal, talent war, which with $100 million salary value for individuals being allegedly offered for the super intelligence team in Meta. And my thought process here was, okay, this is happening, but what does it mean from a business sense point of view? What kind of valuations potentially being targeted here, right? We've already into the domain of multi-trillion-dollar companies. So it's not crazy to expect that essentially Meta is targeting a 10 trillion valuation, and at 10 trillion, 100 million is just 0.1%. If there's, four or five individuals that can enable your 10 trillion value in 5 years or so, I would spend that money as well, right? So that's the real message here. Where is the overall market cap and valuation going? So this is a once in a lifetime explosion of value and potential business value for all companies. And let's look at that a bit, right? So when you go down to a more serious level of what is happening in the enterprises, the evolution of this technology has come from business intelligence, which was, hey, how am I doing and what can I change? But you're looking backwards in the rearview mirror as to what happened. ML was the next step forward and forecasting what is likely to occur and what are the drivers and what are the knobs I can tweak to have a better outcome in the future, right? That's forecasting predictive analytics. Next stage was Gen AI with ChatGPT coming and completely changing the world in 2022. The whole domain of language was seemingly conquered by these AI engines, and the ability to generate and understand language just completely changed the world. And now we're having content and code generation capability. Now, where that stands in terms of business value is largely in the productivity domain, right? So efficiency, one person can do a week's worth of work in half an hour with deep research or something like that, right? Or five people can now do the work of 25 people. So that's an efficiency game in in the existing paradigm. Hey, if somebody was generating marketing content, you have an AI engine generated, right? Now, the next leap is very transformational. It goes beyond efficiency and productivity, and that's the agentic AI world, where you're literally entirely replacing and not augmenting, you're entirely replacing a particular, say, human role, such as a data engineer, a data scientist, or a marketing analyst, or a research analyst, etc., or a junior software engineer with an AI coworker. Literally, humans co-working with AI agents and bots, that level of maturity. So that is now calling for a complete revision of what an enterprise means. And that's what leaders are dealing with. And that's the world of agentic AI. And the funding craze, of course, and the money raising craze is all about, the world of AGI that's yet not yet, that's just being conceptualized and potentially has endless possibilities, right? So, in terms of specifics of, the actual adoption of Gen AI and agentic AI, you see around across verticals. Obviously, financial services is the most savvy. It's always been, between financial services and retail. You see the numbers that are 45-50% on the black bar on each of these verticals. The red bar is the agentic AI penetration in enterprises, and this is McKinsey sourced data. And the agentic AI world is around the 20-25% mark, right? So clearly, there is an appreciable amount of adoption here in enterprises. So if you're looking at it for your enterprise, you clearly want to jump in and start the process. We will give you some guidance on what that journey might look like, right? So you don't want the journey to look like this on this slide, which is a lot of people have rushed in the last 2 to 3 years and started doing this work as the technology is evolving. And obviously, a lot of the parts of the technology were not completed, they're not well understood. So it's been resulting in a number of failures at the enterprise level. And people just trying out this technology without a particular business use case in mind. And it's not well socialized, the skills are not there. So a variety of reasons have resulted in failures of some of these AI, Gen AI, and agentic AI projects. And this article in the middle, which is AI agents and high 40% of AI agent projects will be canceled by 2027. That's a prediction by a fairly credible person, Sol Rashidi. Some of us know her. So what is important to note here is, hey, how do I do this? How do I not do this? Right? And that's what we'll get into. So for fear of doing, failing on this and spending too much money, what's now happened is people have become more sensitive and smart. So leaders in enterprises are really looking to move from experimentation to execution, right? You're going from AI enthusiasm and experimentation to AI accountability. Leaders are going to be held accountable for doing these projects and coming out with a meaningful ROI. So, and Gen AI is no longer some sort of ambitious innovation. It's now taken for granted, right? If you're not doing AI, if you're not using AI to augment your work, you're behind. You're severely behind. So the skill sets have to move up. The use cases have to be defined, and tech leaders and leaders in general are demanding measurable outcomes. And when the agentic AI world is coming up quickly, they want to adopt those same lessons and say, hey, don't just jump in irrationally. Have an architecture in mind, and think about the big picture upfront, but then implement using small focused POCs, right? And then convert into real value. Now, what were the challenges or probably the mistakes or areas of improvement that could prevent some of those errors, right? Let's look at that. So it's a five-factor game that we are also facing in our own experience here in NuoData. We are obviously training models, working with models, looking at the risks, looking at security exposures, looking at trust factors. So when we summarize this, we summarize our success factors and potential failure factors if you don't consider these as above here. First, proof of value and organizational alignment. So when you are deploying it at enterprise scale, you better be sure that there is a very specific use case, very specific business ROI, at least 4x productivity gain, 3x productivity gain in this particular function, or a certain amount of cost, specific amount of cost reduction in terms of dollars, right? And that has to be sustainable. It can't be something that just gets launched and then fizzles out for some reason because it wasn't sustainable due to the training or factors changing. Now, organizational alignment is key because you're dealing with the world of humans. If everybody's not aligned, somebody's going to sabotage it. Somebody's going to create some kind of reasons why this is not going to work. We all know that cultural and political factors and skill factors are extremely significant in enterprises. So we got to take the team as we go, share the intended results, share the intended outcomes, ensure that everybody is trained up with the right level of skill set, and then start those projects, right? And as we go, then keeps upskilling so that people don't lose out on the opportunity, and this is not seen as something that's going to replace people's jobs. It's something that can upgrade people. When you take the lower level jobs and giving it to AI, then we can do some higher level jobs, right? Now, the data foundation is the second part. When you ignore data and the integrity of the data and go all in on AI without really being concerned about their data sources and where they are and whether they are the reliable sources, creates problems, right? Because garbage in, garbage out. Um, and trust, accuracy. So in fact, I just realized I have slides for all of this, so I'm just going to go down that list here. So, clear use case, ROI goal, team skills, buy-in. I talked about that. Data foundation. So, what is data foundation? Multi-source ingestion. It could be batch and real time. It could be unstructured, structured, right? Various types of data sources, APIs, etc., built in to your AI feeding engine, right? So your AI system is connected, deeply integrated with your data system, and the data system ensures enrichment, ability to join different sources, and maintain very high quality of the data. And you also want to see the lineage, like exactly where is this data that I'm doing my AI experiment with coming from? What tables is it coming from? What did it go through? How many stages did it go through? Who are the owners, right? And what is the governance process associated with that? So you want to maintain that catalog and lineage capability with and quality, and have a data foundation platform integrated well. And trust and accuracy factor is number one. If you start launching stuff, chatbots or any kind of functionality in the enterprise, and it starts hallucinating, me and Vipul just yesterday, we were solving a customer project, and we uploaded, it's all anonymous data. We uploaded it, and we gave it a we gave I won't name the model, but we gave it a specific data set, and said ask questions. It came up with very brilliant, articulated conclusions and recommendations and stuff. It has absolutely nothing to do with the data that was uploaded. That was fun. That was a fun episode yesterday, right? So when that kind of stuff happens, then you lose faith, and it's like, gee, what is happening here, right? So you need to have the mechanism in place to ensure that your models don't hallucinate in terms of, when you widespread employee facing use cases, customer facing use cases. You have to have controls. What are those controls? How do they work? Does your platform allow you to just tweak, experiment easily, right? Those are the things you need to be concerned about. Model ops. You might have different parameters in different models, and then lose track of which model has what parameters. So a complete model management from an LLM and LLM variants with your fine tuning and RAG, you have to have all of that in place. Um, Security and governance is obviously primary, equal to trust. You have security and governance. You can't have IP and confidentiality, leaking away, people uploading stuff into public APIs. PII management, role-based access, who sees what, is really critical. And now when you extend that to unstructured data, it becomes all the more complex because the world is set up for structured data governance. Unstructured data governance is not really solved, but here in the NuoData team, we're keeping a very close eye on all of that and building solutions, and have built the product and framework for addressing all of this. Finally, cost management and monitoring. Ashish runs this company. We are all, collaborating on a weekly basis. We're watching how much of GPU spend we're doing. when we build our own models and experiments. We can only imagine what's it at enterprise scale. Our customers are doing that. They're asking us for solutions. So if you have orphan VMs, GPU usage blowing up, AI DevOps, these are all issues that could potentially crash land your project. You have to have the observability and governance and monitoring to keep a tight control of that and see have mechanisms that will give you guidance. If you pick this hardware, you can run this particular model efficiently, and we have all of that, right? Now, we'll go into that in detail, and which is just one more slide I'm going to do, and then hand it over to Ashish. The way we do this is with this kind of flow. Start from the bottom, go to the top. We start with the data layer, sourcing and enrichment of high quality data. We have infrastructure that will help you to take the data and do model development and training, and obviously now create those models and launch them into production. Model ops and serving is the third stage, right? And then you now get into the agentic stage where you have integrating the AI models, give it the tools and APIs for interaction, and we're working on and fast moving towards the final layer where agentic applications are at work in production with agents talking to each other, a parent agent, child agent, things like that with A to A protocols, MCP built in to the infrastructure, right? So that's the whole, and with governance and guardrails protecting the whole flow. So that's the quick overview of where this is going and what we're looking at. And I'll have Ashish take it from here.
Yeah, Avi, thank you so much. We have a few poll questions. So maybe take that one and then we will get into the solutioning and how we are helping.
Yeah, let's. Should we launch the first poll? Okay. If you don't mind, please, what is your level of comfort with your data readiness? We just talked about data foundation. Please answer this question. How do you feel about your data readiness for large-scale AI deployment in your environment? Well prepared, a lot more work to do. We're getting in the answers. Thank you. Yeah. So we are seeing in roughly 80-20 split, a little more than 80 on the lot more work to do. And, some of you, a small percentage of you are feeling well prepared. So congratulations. We are not shocked with that result. Because there is a lot of work to do. There's intense amount of work to do to set up the AI foundation at enterprise scale, and that's exactly why we're doing this webinar and educating our audience here, as well as wanting to work with you to help you fix that data foundation. Thank you.
Across the globe, this is Ashish Baghel, founder CEO of NuoData, as well as I've had the privilege to lead some of this product development right from scratch to where we stand today. One of the core foundational considerations here is, as Avi was mentioning, around the challenges, the six core areas that you should evaluate around readiness of your AI, right from value to quality of data all the way to cost of operations. We have accounted for all of that under one unified platform. We call it Data Universe, and it has many of those modules or key products within the universe, and generative AI, machine learning, and agentic AI. They are some of the core features that we are going to be talking about today. Having said that, the other areas, right from data catalog, data lineage, data governance, security, data ingestion, transformation, and when we talk about data governance, both structured and unstructured. So all of that are massively powerful in order to ensure you are able to launch production grade applications or production grade AI agents. One of the key challenges that we see today is almost 90-95% of the applications that are using generative AI are nothing more than wrappers, which is okay if it fits your need. Having said that, it does not address a whole bunch of other concerns such as PII or PI, confidential information, anything that you would not want to share, unstructured data governance, where you want to absolutely make sure that you are able to extract and manage those as you ingest them to your vector DBs for training and so on and so forth, right? So this is the most important feature. If you see, you can't think of generative AI or agents in isolation. You just can't, right? You might be able to do POCs, but you will never be able to launch a production grade application because there is no traceability, no explainability around each of those agents, and going all the way back to LLMs, why they are responding a certain way, and so on and so forth. Right? So that's one huge breakthrough that we have achieved as part of this no data universe. The other core breakthrough that we have achieved is you are able to bring in your own open source LLMs, right from Llama 70 billion to uh, let's say, as of now, OpenAI also launched OSS 20 billion, 120 billion, and all of those. So you are able to bring in all those capabilities right within NuoData, train. We manage the entire LLM ops using MLflow, and you are able to track, trace, evaluate end-to-end model performance before you register and serve. And then obviously agents are sitting on top of those trained models. And then subsequently you are able to create complex workflows using meta agent and AI orchestration, right? This is super foundational from an architecture perspective. We will be able to demo every step of the way on how we are achieving, right from bringing in the right data, ensuring compliance, ensuring governance, to able to train those models, all the way to how do you register and serve those models, and then have a feedback loop. As you're serving those models, you are able to also learn and train and retrain, refine your models for future, right? So this is an absolute seamless platform that we have built, and we are going to demo that very shortly to you, right? Now, I probably talked about all of these on how we are so different is, let me just highlight on few, right? We have built a completely reusable RAG framework, which you can use to train one model or many models. So one RAG can serve one model, or one model can use many RAGs. It's like multi to multi relationship here. Um, we have extensively built the experiments, the LLM experiments, where you're able to fine tune the models using LoRa, QLoRa, and all those techniques, as well as you are able to log and monitor everything using our MLflow platform that gives you scoring right around how those models are performing. We also have a concept of judge LLM, which then also evaluates your LLMs, or whatever LLM you're training, LLM's performance against those ground truth realities, right? Data ingestion and enrichment, while I know they may seem not almost mundane, but it's the most important part of it, where as you bring in the data, you maintain the catalog, you maintain the metadata of what is going in into your vector DBs for training, from a compliance perspective. That's a very big oversight, where I see many organizations simply using it not so accurately or not so but in a recommended way, right? Um, and then, as I said, privately deployed LLMs, the most important feature here that we offer as part of NuoData is you do not have to ever worry about tokens, right? What it means is we host it for you. And then beyond that, we don't care how many number of users are using it. You pay a certain, cost of hosting, and that's pretty much it, right? So we are not in the business of, unless you're using an API based LLM within OData, which we also support. But if it's an open source LLM that you have trained, you own the code, you own the model, you own the data, you own your PI, and all compliance data within your VPC. It never leaves your boundary. And this also means you host it and you pay for it, infinite use, right? So those are some of the foundational differentiation compared to some of the other models that you might see, or some of the other API based platforms that you may see, how we are so different. Go to the next one. I think we are ready for the demo. We have created two use cases for you, AV and Vipul. Over to you for the use case explanation.
Yeah. Over to Apple, please.
Yeah. Hey, hi everyone. This is Vipul Gupta. So I'm working as tech lead with NuoData. So today I'll be demoing two use cases that we have developed and deployed. First is the retrieval augmented generation, that is RAG. So you have open source LLMs available out of the box, but those LLMs are not trained on your data. They don't have your domain specific knowledge. And that's where RAG comes in. So the use case that we are going to show today is for a company called Supercharged Ideas Inc. So this is a demo company that we have created because we cannot use our client's name. So employees were wasting hundreds of hours monthly searching through scattered HR and policy documentation because they have to go through multiple policies and figure out what exact information they're looking for. So what we have helped them with is we have created an intelligent chatbot that instantly answers employees' questions by retrieving and contextualizing information from all company documents. So we have added the company documents to the RAG, and with that, now the LLM model is intelligent enough and it knows your domain specific knowledge and can answer the right questions. The business impact that we saw was like over 300 hours were saved monthly. Yeah, so second use case that I will be demoing in today is around the agentic data engineering assistant. So as Ashish already mentioned, that NuoData is not just dealing with the generative AI and the agentic AI. We also have a suite of tools which can help you with your data enrichment and ingestion, and you can create your data engineering pipelines completely no code, low code. So we have a visual pipeline creator, which we call as Quantum. So you can use this agentic AI, agentic assistant to generate your code. And the beauty of this is because this is very normal. You can ask any LLM to generate a code, but this agentic assistant is your metadata and data aware. So it knows what exactly you're asking for on the basis of the input data. And that is what I will showcase in the demo. So Avi, I would like to present my screen and start with the demo. So I will first start with the demo one, which is our RAG-based implementation for supercharged ideas. So the first task to create that, like to work on this is, okay, let me familiarize you with the NuoData home page. So this is our NuoData homepage, and we have all the modules that we support listed here. We work on catalog, lineage, governance, security, orchestration, engineering, generative AI, agentic AI, observability, and modernization. So all of this is available out of the box. And today we'll be working on the generative AI ML space. And So we have a concept of workspaces, and in workspaces we can have pipelines, tasks, workflows, as you can see. So right now I'm working on building a RAG. So RAG is nothing; it is just converting your unstructured or structured data into a LLM understandable language. So that's what a RAG is. I have already created one RAG for the demo purpose because it takes at least some time to create a RAG. So here we are working on unstructured data. So our data source here is a S3 bucket. We have multiple connectors available out of the box for structured and unstructured data sources. But for this demo purpose, we are going with an S3, and we have defined where the data is. Once the data is defined, we also give you the complete code in case you want, as Ashish already mentioned, you own the code. So you have the code right here and you can execute it on your will. So once you execute this code, what it will do is it will read the data from the S3, and we also give you an option for the preview. So you can, while building your RAG, you can preview how it is progressing. And the same concept applies to our data engineering tool, which is Quantum. So this is the data that we are feeding into the RAG model. We are using this. So this is our palette so this is our designer where we have from our palettes, we have 4 different nodes to choose from. And so these are the techniques that we use to convert text into numbers so that we can store them in vector DB. And we are using Spice DB here to convert it to numbers. So once it is created, now what we do is we just add, let me go back here. We just add this to a LLM model. So now, because I've already done it, we have this Llama 3 billion. Okay, let me take a step back. So while we are defining so once we define a new experiment, you can choose what kind of generative AI you want to work on, right? And we also let you choose what is the cluster size you want to work on. So you can choose, this is the cost optimization process. You can use a low cluster size or a high cluster size. And on the basis of available models, we show what all models can run on this cluster size. So just in case if I want to change it to a small one, so it will show that only these are runnable and these are unsupported. Correct? So now once we have defined this, we go to the next part, which is the model selection. We can choose the model of choice, and I'm working with Llama 3 billion model here. Once you select that model, we give you the inference parameters. So basically, these are the turnkey knobs with which you can control the flow of the hallucination part of the model. And we also let you fine tune the model. We give you the techniques, the LoRa, QLoRa, and full fine tuning. So you can choose what kind of fine tuning you want to work on. Once you are done with your, the parameters you're set and the fine tuning you're done, we move to the third part, which is the loading the model. So once everything is defined and you have loaded the model, now you have an area where you can talk to this model and ask your question. So I can ask a simple question: what is the leave policy? And it will generate the answer for me. Sometimes it takes some time. So what happens next is once we get the answer from this, yeah, there we go. So the leave policy provide guidance on how long you can stay away from work due to sickness or injury, right? So this is how you can talk to the model and know if it is working or not. Now, as I told you, these are your different inference parameters with which you can choose whether the model should be creative or restrictive. So we have a comparison mode available. So when we click on comparison mode, what we can do is we can enter multiple questions and we can compare the answers on the basis of these inference parameters. So we can generate the questions using AI, or we can manually enter them. So for the ease of use or for the quickness of this demo, I'm just gonna with and entering the questions manually. I'm gonna enter 3 questions here. So I have those questions listed already. I'm just pasting them here. So once you are done with adding your questions and you're done with the inference parameters that you want to work on, just update them once so that the model is loaded with the new parameters, and you click on get answers. So as you click on get answers, it will start generating the answers on the basis of these inference parameters. It takes some time, and then I have to change again for the second run, right? Run 2. So I have already done this. So I have these 3 questions, which are already executed for 2 different set of parameters. You can see what all parameters were used here in run 1 and what all parameters were used here in run 2. And these are the answers that we get from the model. So now we have the 2 answers to compare, and we can validate. Like, we have to evaluate now whether this run was better or this run was better on the basis of the inference parameters. So we have added one more option here for the model evaluation. So once we go to the model evaluation part, we can generate the answers using LLM, or we can generate the answers manually. So in LLM, what we are providing you an option is, because to evaluate, you have to tell the model what is the ground truth, like with what is the benchmark against with you have to evaluate the Llama model. So we are using a higher end model in this case, which is Mistral 7 billion. So you can either use that to generate your ground truth answers, or you can put in your answers manually. So here I have done this manually, and I can just, paste any answers here for the sake of quickness. I'm just pasting same answer. So once you're done with it, and when you submit the ground truth answers, what it will do is it will start evaluating and provide you the matrices, like whether the matrices are good, how if the responses are good or bad. So I have already done that. So if you look at this, for these 2 runs, we provide traditional matrices and the LLM-based matrices. Traditional matrices are generally for like super users, the data scientist. I will come to them later. And the LLM-based matrices are very clear, and it can help you get the average score. So you can see for run 2, the average score is this. For run 1, this is the average score, because obviously I pasted the wrong answers. You can see accuracy, clarity, completeness, coherence, relevance. And we also provide you a quick explanation of each of the uh, evaluation scores. So once you are done with this and you're ready to deploy your model, so now if you say I want to deploy run 1 because this is the better score. So I'll just go to model registration and deployment, and I can deploy my model here. So there's only one model that I'm using, so it's the model, and now I'll select the run 1, and this is my employee bot, and I can register a new model. So once my model is registered, it goes to this place, which is the registered models. You can see my employee bot is registered now, and it is in staging state. So you can just click on deploy. What it will do is it will instantiate a new instance, and you can start using it. But it takes some time. So we have already instantiated few for testing purposes. Let me just. Yeah. Before that, I would like to show you one more thing that Ashish and Avi talked about, which is the MLOps. So now once you have deployed your model, like, you're doing the training and everything, but you would like to know, right, what's happening, if is it good? Okay, this is not a good example. Right. So you can see that we have done 2 runs here, run 1 and run 2. So all the model parameters are available for you to see. And you can also see the traces, like what was the question asked, what was the response, how much time does it take. Everything is available here for you to look into. We also get the artifacts if you want to use, like these are the artifacts which are required for the model to run properly. And these are the traditional matrices. I talked about the traditional matrices for evaluation. So these are available here for you to view, like how good this AI grade level is, what is the BERT score. So this is how your complete RAG model deployment happens. Uh, we have deployed one RAG model using the same concept on our website, and it is available for use. So if you look at my screen, so this is the NuoBot. We call it NuoBot. It is a RAG-based chatbot, which is trained on our data. And if I ask it a question like, what is NuoData? So it will give me the required answers, which are very much domain specific and talks about what we do. So yeah, this is the end-to-end demo for the use case 1.
Nice work, Vipul. I think you're going to pull up the second one. And when I started seeing these demos, the first thing I started seeing is like, hey, I'm used to doing ChatGPT. Who's the persona, for this? There are some of these menu I don't even understand. I'm not a data scientist, right? So obviously the answer is this tool is really designed for the back office, right? The data science modelers and who are exposing an application, building an application, training an application, and then exposing it to the layman user, which is maybe an employee, or a customer, and all of the data science modeling, the accuracy, ensuring the hallucination management, the controls, are for essentially for the backend, right? So this is meant for the model training team, before deploying an application.
Okay, thanks, Avi. So now let's move to the use case 2, which was the agentic assistant for data engineering. So we have one more module called Nora. This is our agent creation platform, and here we can create agents. So whatever models you have created using our generative AI and ML platform Nova, you can use those models to create agents on top of that. So if I create an agent here, I can give whatever name I want. So I'm just giving it webinar demo just for for the demo purpose, and I can give any description. So the agent type is platform, so it will work with the NuoData platform, or we can use the application agent type as well. The capability that it will support is Quantum, Nova. I want this agent to be available to my modules. So that's why I'm choosing these capabilities. The feature is question and answering, because this is a data engineering assistant, which will take input as text and it will spit out the code that we want to use. And we already have a model created, which is a code generation model. And I'll just use that and create the agent. So this is how quickly you can create your agent. And once you deploy the agent, it will show up as active. So we have already created one agent, which is called the data querying agent. So you can use this agent and talk to it in our data quantum pipelines. So now I'm moving to a different module, which is the data engineering module. So in data engineering module, we have this concept of workspaces, which is quite similar. And we have defined 2 pipelines. Let me open one of them. So this pipeline is something which we have created. So if you see, it has, okay, let me zoom in a bit. Right. So if you see, it has 2 sources and sending the data to 2 different targets. So one source is Postgres, so S3, and the targets are Postgres. And you can choose whatever kind of function you want to do from the palette. But if there is something which is not available out of the box, you can use our custom PySpark generator or custom SQL node. So we have used this custom SQL node and integrated our agent here. So you can see that we have given you an option to create a code using Nora. But before going into that, I would like to give you a quick preview of the data that we are using. So if you look at the data, so we have age, name, gender, date of birth, address, everything. And on the basis of this metadata and data, I can formulate a question and this ask our custom SQL agent to generate a query. So I can just go to this agent and ask filter by gender, select all male. So what if I click on generate code? So it takes around like 10 to 15 seconds to generate the code, and it will give us a complete SQL, which is your metadata and data aware.
And obviously, if you're wondering about, hey, how much time it's taking, we're just trying to be prudent about the cost. And the bigger model, the more hardware you use, you can get faster responses, right?
So you can see that it has generated the query and we can use it here. When we click on use this code, it will come up here and we can definitely use it. So this is how quickly you can create your data pipelines using Quantum and the agentic Nora dashboards. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Vipul,
that is,
it might be worth just explaining the basic feature itself here. If you clicked on the source, right in this pipeline, that we support hundreds of sources. So this platform itself supports hundreds of sources. This is the ingestion, data ingestion and transformation platform that we talked about a little while ago. The other beautiful thing here, can you get out of this? As you build these pipelines, you are able to generate the code entirely on what that definition that you have provided, as well as it gives you preview of that data at every node. So this by itself is a massive breakthrough in terms of ensuring you're able to bring in the data, transform the data, see the data and generate the entire pipeline code. The other innovation that we just added here is you're able to use generative AI to write all of these transformations, one or all of these transformations that are more rule driven, completely driven by generative AI, right? So that's a huge breakthrough. And go up a little bit, Vipul, and validate and just show them the overall pipeline code, right? So this we generate the entire pipeline code, which you can test, manage, run, validate, roll out within seconds, as opposed to any other platform that only gives you code without giving you the proper runtime and environment for you to test, validate, collaborate, and roll out, right? So this is a huge breakthrough from that perspective. And this agent is now available across entire NuoData. If you are choosing for it to be a platform agent, it will generate your Airflow DAGs, it will generate your PySpark code, it will generate your metadata correlations and all of that. So this is foundational. Having said that, you can also build any agent that is external facing, where you are able to use that for any application or any data, any end-to-end support that your applications or capabilities might be needing. One most important part that I would like to highlight here, Vipul, AV, and everybody here, is that we also strictly follow the MCP standards. That means any and all agents that you're building, that you're able to expose it for any external use. If you're looking to commercialize this, you can use all of that just simply using NuoData platform, right? With that, over to you, Vipul, AV.
yeah. Thanks, Ashish, for the explanation. And yeah, with that, my demos are over. Over to you, AV. Thank you.
Thank you. I am answering questions, live, but we just wanted to ensure that we also walk through the sort of the next steps. Is like if you're thinking, what are the next steps? So what of this, right? Um, so if you are looking to, hey, do an AI rollout with NuoData, with some of our components that we showed, and some of you have asked a question about, hey, can I isolate just Nora without the other pieces? Absolutely. So we are flexible. We can work with you on that. The GenAI agentic piece can be isolated and deployed for a project with you, but invariably you're going to need the data integration pieces. So the way we would do a project is to help you. There's a consulting division as well that we have, that's led by our services leaders. We will help do workshops with you to look at your objectives, to break it down to specific use cases and ROIs, and advise you what's possible, what's realistic, how soon can you do that. So some level of strategy and planning, followed by understanding your data sources, putting out a pipeline to integrate your data sources, and ensuring that you don't have garbage in, garbage out, right? So completely have a clean data pipeline into the AI engine, and then build out your RAG, plan for production with all of the other prerequisites, like we just said, ensure that your monitoring is on, security governance is on, and we can help you also deploy, go beyond chatbots to fully customized business workflow applications. That's what we would be, doing in terms of the journey with you. You can definitely engage with us deeper. And for those of you who are looking at this webinar, either live or in recording, please take your camera and shoot this QR code. We are offering a free 4-week enterprise AI use case rollout as a special promotion in this webinar. You can write to us at marketing@nuodata.ai if you have additional questions. In this, 4-week enterprise use case rollout, we could help you build out your custom RAG agent, help you build out your agentic workflow, pick any enterprise use case. We can help you securely, do a RAG or fine tuning of an existing foundation model with your data, and help you to deploy your use case and monitor and manage it, right? We will obviously be using the NuoData framework and do any other custom kind of development around that you might need. So that's our special offer. It's really exciting. As you can see, the platform is out there, ready for you to use, ready for us to come in and use on your behalf with you. I just wanted to also address and ask Ashish one question that came up, like, hey, what are the levels and methods of PII sanitization that we use in NuoData? That question came up.
Yeah, so let me address that. I know we had a very, very short time to be able to cover this entire data universe. Having said that, we provide any data, as per your company's policy. So let's talk about structured. We support over 400 plus sources. We bring in those connections, and then you are able to define for each schema, each table at a column level, what those fields are. Are they PII or not? What is your masking strategy? What is your encryption strategy? If you already have it, we'll integrate with it. Otherwise, that's inbuilt in the platform, such that as the data moves, we are able to track, manage, and present accordingly as per your policy. That's for the structured. For unstructured, we have exact same approach wherein you define your policy, as in what are all those fields that are sensitive, a combination or an individual, depending on the compliance and regulatory requirements you're looking for. Subsequently, we scan those documents or those unstructured data, such as, let's say, voice records, or um, a check image, or whatever those are. We are able to scan it. We are able to then identify the PII information within those. We are able to create lat long within the document. We are able to, and redact or mask it, as you move the data for vectorization. So that's just one of the use of unstructured data governance. We have many, almost like 12 industry use cases that we support. We'll be very happy to assist on that.
Awesome. Quick question for Vipul before we close. Vipul, the RAG use case you showed had unstructured data. Do we do RAG with structured data?
Correct. So we do support both a structured and unstructured data. And with structured data, we also handle the PII fields. So in case you have PII data in that, we help you manage that, and we also help you, and everything is like, as Ashish already mentioned, it's all low code or no code. So yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there was one more question. Let's just address that and then we can close. The question was like, hey, I have ChatGPT, I have LLMs, and then I can, attach APIs, etc., to them and build an agent. What is the difference fundamentally here by using NuoData, right? Uh, the biggest paradigm is control. You can deploy any choice in any models of your choice in your environment. You don't need to have the public APIs being accessed at all in your environment, right, from out of your environment. So you don't need to go hit the public APIs, foundation models at all. You can deploy securely open source models. For example, even OpenAI's latest models that are open sourced. First of all, that is in your premises, then
Yeah.
completely integrating your own data sources, all of your data sources with your PII and governance is completely self managed, right? So that is the biggest paradigm difference here that
Yeah.
we
Let
are.
me add one more point to that, AV.
Yeah,
You
please.
own the model, right?
Yeah,
As opposed to GPT 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever they're going to come up with. Yeah, you will have to go back and train and attach those with those respective RAGs and APIs and whatnot. That's one thing, right? Where you own the model forever, right? And the second thing is you own the infrastructure and cost. The predictability and certainty around how much are you going to consume and how much it's going to cost is a huge consideration which people are not thinking as of now. But what if I gave you an infinite consumable model for $5,000 a month at an enterprise level for 1,000 users? There's just no comparison. This will turn out to be 50 times cheaper than GPT.
right. And the only thing they will be exposed to is the VM compute costs of
Yeah, that's
whatever.
obvious, you have to pay for compute, right? But then you own, you manage, the entire transparency lies with you. So you can tweak up, tweak down, whatever helps with your costing as opposed to being hostage to some other third party.
Yeah. So you're not going to be paid by tokens at all.
Not
So
at all. Yeah.
that's a big deal. All right, it's been a very engaging audience, lots of questions. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the demo. Please feel free to give us feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you would like us to cover more in future webinars or private calls. Feel free to engage us at marketing@nuodata.ai. We will do private demos, private calls, and structure your personal, your private projects for your enterprise use case rollouts, as you can see in this picture. Thank you all for being here, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.